Hi everyone, it's Jen again. Sorry for not coming out with a video last week. I'm still waiting for the collaboration project to come out, the video, so I felt like I wasn't really able to talk about what I was working on during those 2 weeks, and right now I'm still just working on Arcane Dice Wars endings, and even though I don't think there's anything mind-blowing as far as spoilers would go, I think it would maybe feel a little anticlimactic if I talked about it too much, that there wouldn't be anything left to look forward to experiencing when the game actually releases. Right now, I am still planning on having it released in mid-March for the end of Amare Jam, which will be March 15th, so it should be able to come out around then. Yeah, everything so far is now going according to schedule, so I feel pretty confident in saying that, as long as life doesn't throw any huge major curveballs at me. I have been struggling a little bit with congestion, something like a seasonal cold probably, where, I'm all stuffy up here and having post-nasal drip, so this is something like my 5th time trying to record this video without a bunch of weird disgusting swallowing sounds of me just not being able to breathe properly, and yeah, just sorry about that if I do end up leaving some of those noises in. I would take this opportunity to talk a little bit about post-project depression. I don't know if I'm the only one who kind of experiences this on a regular basis. There's a lot of, I think it's normal to expect somebody to feel excited when something they've been working on for years and put a lot of effort into finally comes to a close, that you've reached the finish line, and there should be some, sense of celebration or a pat on the back or congratulatory kind of tones that you've done it, you've made it, and with a lot of very with something as labor intensive as games, a lot of people who start don't finish, and that's including myself. I have plenty of projects that I have not finished, so I'm totally guilty of that as well. But there is another side to finishing a project other than, I think if you had certain expectations for your game to perform a certain way, as far as if you're trying to sell it, or if you're hoping to get this many downloads, or you have expectations of some kind of return on investment, that would be a normal feeling of disappointment if you didn't reach those milestones, if you didn't get the reactions that you were hoping for. But there's another side for me. I don't really have any expectations of getting anything special for finishing my project, other than the self-satisfaction that I get for saying that, oh, I finished. That in itself is just kind of what I'm aiming for. But there's a certain apprehension that I have going into this, because I do have several graphic novels that I finished and a few other projects that I finished, and there's a different kind of disappointment that I experience that I don't know if other people can relate to, so I'm just going to throw this out there, that there's no perfection when it comes to art. It's all subjective. When I start a project, I have a lot of my worldview and my personal outlook in life put into that project, and it's not in a preachy way that I'm trying to change somebody's mind about something. It's more that that's just in the moment who I am, so it can't help but be in the writing of my characters and the world that I'm creating. after 2 years of working on Arcane Dice Wars, that was 2 more years of life that I experienced. A lot happened in those 2 years. And not just hugely significant things such as, death in the family and that sort of thing, but even just the small interactions. I've met new people, I've made new friends, I've lost contact with some people that I used to speak with, I've gotten new coworkers, I've lost some coworkers, I've gained some new pets and I've lost some new pets, and same with neighbors and all of that stuff. So I'm not exactly the same person that I was when I started Arcane Dice Wars, and certainly Arcane Dice Wars did evolve from something that I couldn't have completely imagined when I started it to where I am now, so I wouldn't say that it didn't grow with me, but if I started over, I would definitely do things differently. But there are certain things that if I were to change it, I would have to pretty much start all over again. And if we start something all over again every time we kind of grow and develop and mature on a long-term project, then we would be in development hell. Like, we would never be able to finish something under the strain of constant revisions. So at some point, you have to compromise and say to yourself, what is more important to me? Is it more important for me to develop this game story art to its conclusion, or is it more important to me for it to be everything that I feel in the moment that I want it to be? And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer necessarily when you're doing art and creation for yourself. You have to do what you feel is authentic, or where you want to put your efforts. And I don't believe when you're doing it for yourself, like you don't have any contracts or you haven't taken any, monetary compensation, you don't have that type of agreement with anybody. I don't think that you have to owe your audience an ending. If that's not where you want to take it. But for me, I wanted to make this game complete. Maybe I will revise it in the future, but most likely the types of changes that I would want to make would be even more drastic than what was done in Villain's Heart, and that was a lot of extra work to try to revise that game. So in all honesty, most of the time when I think about going back and fixing something, it's easier for me to move on and just work on something that reflects where I'm currently at than to try to go back and force something that I started when I was at a different place to turn into something that I am now currently at. It's like trying to rewind time, and I can't always even get back into that same mindset that what was I thinking, right? We've all heard that before. What was I thinking? I don't even know what I was thinking back then. I mean, I kind of have an idea what I was thinking back then because that was me that thought that thing. But it's really hard to, I guess, regress and go back and feel the same way that you felt back then. So most of the time I would rather just move on. And it's like this never-ending cycle that's associated with creation that I will never be able to work fast enough to keep up with where I am in my life, because life moves faster than my ability to process it and regurgitate it. as art. So a part of me is always working very hard to keep up with where I am in a way that feels relevant to myself, because I am not the type of person who wants to be stuck in the past, who doesn't want to march towards progress. Like, I want to keep moving forward in life. So I have almost like a pathological obsession with doing everything I can to try to keep up, but it's like treading water, where I know that inevitably I will have to face the fact that I wasn't able to keep up. And I think when I get closer to the end of the project, I have more hindsight. There's this big road that's behind me that now that I'm approaching the finish line, I can turn around and look at, and I don't always like what I see. And I don't think it's my perfectionism. I think it's just inevitable, because I'm always going to be moving forward in life. So looking back will always feel a bit cringy, for lack of better words. Well, this is me coming back from a little coughing fit that I had after that a little laugh that I had. I'm probably getting ahead of myself. I still do have to finish these endings that I am about halfway through right now. So I don't know why my mind is already anticipating. Perhaps just because I usually do feel this way after I finish a project. There is a sense of accomplishment, but it seems to be outweighed by that sense of just regret of what it could have been. Now I can see that it is not. And I can still be proud of what it's become, but I will always lament the loss of potential that an unfinished project has. So I plan on jumping right into my next project when I'm finished, to start the cycle all over again. I think the best part really is when you're in the middle of working on it. When everything is still fresh and exciting and new, and perhaps like when you're in that midpoint where you have some road behind you and you still have a lot of road ahead of you, is maybe like the part of development that feels the most exciting, because you have enough content that people can start to see where you're going, and they can start investing or having a little bit of that shared connection. But there's still all that potential of where it could be going that has not yet been fulfilled, and there's a part of that that's always going to be a little disappointing, even if you execute it well. It's a dream that can never live up to all the possibilities, right? Okay, well, those are my thoughts for this week, and I'm looking forward to going into March, and hopefully the weather will warm up a little bit and I'll be able to enjoy walking the dog more. Hope that you have a good upcoming week, and don't forget to enjoy the process. Bye now.